November is Native American Heritage Month, and November is important to many Native Americans because it's usually the time where tribes celebrate a successful harvest. In honor of Native American Heritage Month, we're going to learn about the Three Sisters, which is a trinity of 3 different kinds of crops grown by Native Americans and considered a staple of Native American and Indigenous culture. The sisters are corn, beans, and squash. And Native Americans found out that these 3 crops actually work together to nurture each other and to help each other grow. The corn stalks act as a way for the bean vine to grow up and reach the sun. The beans actually put nitrogen back into the soil to help all the plants grow. And the squash have really large and very spiky leaves that kind of protect the bottom of the plants. Our artist inspiration is T.C. Cannon of the Kiowa tribe in Oklahoma. If you look at his work, let's try to identify some things that look different from reality. I want you to look at some of the shapes that are used in between this picture and the next. What do you notice? If you said the circles, you're right. They show up on clothes and behind people in lots of his work. Now let's look at the colors. What do you notice about the colors? If you said that they're a little different from reality and maybe expressive or a little exaggerated, you're right. So we're going to be inspired by T.C. Cannon's use of circles and expressive colors. And I want you to look at this picture again and tell me something that might also seem a little off. If you said the clothing, you're correct. T.C. Cannon liked to juxtapose, which means he liked to put 2 things in the same painting that usually aren't exactly similar. So that shirt with the collar is considered more of a modern kind of shirt, where the animal skin he's wearing on his head is more traditional. I'm going to make a project inspired by his circles, his colors, and has something that shows it's modern or present day. All right, so you need a piece of paper that is tall, which means portrait or up and down. And we're going to be drawing a T.C. Cannon inspired ear of corn to also represent one of the 3 sisters. Our goal is that we're going to draw really big, use the circles, use lots of colors, and make it seem modern. So what we're going to do is we're going to draw the base of the corn first, which is going to be the 2 leaves holding the corn. You're going to start with a very large Y that almost fills about 1/3 of the paper at the bottom. So you're going to come in a little bit and you're going to create, well, let's say a V first. Doesn't quite touch the bottom, it goes out like that. And then I want you to extend one side downward a little bit. Kind of looks like a backwards Y. After that, we're going to make the leaves using this Y. So from the top of the Y, you're going to connect it to the bottom right here using a curved line. Same over here. You're going to go from the top to this line, or this point, but you're going to curve out. And these are like the 2 leaves that are going to hold the corn. And then, corns grow on a corn stalk. You're going to make a thick kind of box here at the bottom for the corn stalk. Great. The next thing we're going to do is draw the ear of corn itself. So that's going to be a big oval inside of this leaf. So you're going to draw a big curved arch from a little bit inside of your leaves. So watch first, and if you want to, you can like make a little mark up here so you know where to aim for. But you're gonna go up, you're going to hit that mark or get close to it, curve, and come back down. After we're done with that, that's our very big ear of corn. I want you to draw a horizon line behind it. So your horizon line is going to go from one side of the leaf to the other. So you're going to start next to the leaf or right at, almost at the point, and draw a line that goes from the corn to the side of the paper. And on the same level, you're going to draw another line on the right side from the side to the edge. So this is the ground and this will be the sky. All right, so we know corn has kernels. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna draw a few vertical lines to separate our rows of corn. It's going to be a little exaggerated. Usually corn kernels are really small, but we don't wanna take a ton of time to make all the corn kernels. Ooh, try saying that 3 times fast. So what we're gonna do is we're going to divide it into 4 rows. So very lightly, because you don't wanna see them later, you're going to draw a line very, very lightly, just as a guideline, down the middle of your corn. See how light that is? I'm barely touching the paper. Then you're gonna split these 2 sections in half. Very lightly make a parallel line, which means that it's next to this line, but it's not going too close or too far away from it. It's just kind of driving next to it. And then make another line over here. Now we have 4 rows of corn. I'm going to, for the corn, I'm going to use my coloring materials to create the ovals for the corn. So what you're gonna need are crayons. If you don't have crayons, that's okay. You can use markers or color pencils. I suggest using a bigger drawing material, so that way it goes a little faster, like markers or crayons. I love crayons. I'm gonna show you a technique later of how to use crayons and watercolor. Remember that if you don't have the same materials I do, that is okay. Just do your best. So the first thing I wanna do is I'm gonna create some corn kernels. And I'm gonna do that with a brown crayon, and basically I'm just gonna make a row of ovals. I'm gonna start in the middle and make a big oval. And then see how that oval touched this line and that line? I want to keep them next to each other, and I want them to stay inside of my lines. Now, the space is kind of getting a little smaller, and that's okay. My crayon broke, it's okay, it still works. But I want you to draw little ovals that fit inside of this row. So that one I'm just gonna do a half one. I like starting from the middle because I know that those will be complete kernels, not half ones or miniature ones. Touch both lines, but keep them within that row. When you get to the bottom, you have a choice. You can either do like a half one that hides behind the leaf, or you could just do little ones kind of like we did up here. I'm also pushing hard because I want my lines to be really thick and bold. I'll do a little on this side. A little corn cob. All right. Okay, so for the corn actually comes in lots of different colors. You have yellow corn, you have corn kernels that end up kind of orange or red or purple or kind of greenish. Corn can be lots and lots of colors. So we want a good percentage of this to be yellow corn, but I want you to basically do any color for a few of these pieces except for blue. We're gonna reserve blue for something else we're gonna do, but any color of the color wheel, or if you wanna use neutral colors like brown, black, and tan, you can do that too. But take some time to make some of these corn kernels different colors. I'm gonna speed my video up so this doesn't take forever. Pause if you need to. and I'll see you back in a minute. You don't have to color all of them in quite yet with your different colors, but I'll show you how we can use paint to fill in the rest yellow. All right, so now that I have my corn colored some different colors, but not all of it, I want to make the rest of it yellow. If you have drawing materials, you could just shade in the yellow. If you use crayon or a permanent drawing material, you could also watercolor over it. So I'm going to watercolor over the rest of this yellow, and because of wax resist and because the watercolor will bubble and not go and stain the crayon, I'm going to paint right over it and make the rest of it yellow. If you already did yellow pieces of corn, that's okay too. So let me grab my paints and let me show you how that works. All right, so I have my paint and I'm going to, since it's watercolor, the main word is water, add some water to activate and wake up my paint. Make a little pool. I'm not digging my brush in. If I'm doing watercolor, I'm trying to just use that puddle of water on top. And I'm going to paint. Remember, once again, if you have drawing materials, you can just kind of shade over with yellow. And I'm going to paint the rest of my corn yellow. If you want to get creative, you could also maybe do a little bit of orange just to give it a different kind of yellow. Ooh, or we can do orange in between to give it a little bit of shadow. All right, while that is drying, I'm gonna go ahead and color the leaves. I'm gonna use a green to outline and make them kind of bold. And I could either paint these in or color them in. I'm just gonna go ahead and color them in. And if you are doing this project and you are planning on doing half of it one week and half of it the other week, this is the halfway point. So if this is week 1, you can stop the video here, and then when you come back for week 2 to finish this, you can pick up here as well. That's our halfway point for our TC Cannon inspired corn, and we will do the background next, especially since we have to wait for that to dry.